Just 1 second, 1 second.
Okay. So we are talking about this application called measure sets, and we use this application to measure many points from one station. We measure these points not one time, we measure it many times. Every time we measure all the points, it's called set. So we can use this application to measure many sets of many points. So every point will be measured many times. Okay? We use this application to for monitoring, and we use it for making traverses, and we use it to make a network adjustment. Okay? We use it for monitoring because for monitoring we need to measure some specific points of the building or of the site. We need to measure it many times a day. We measure this point maybe 3 times a day, maybe 6 times a day, maybe 1 time every month, but we need to measure it precisely. So we measure it many times to calculate the precise location of these points. Okay, this is the first usage of this application. Second usage is to make a traverse. When we use a traverse, we usually measure just the back side and the foresight, but we usually measure them many times. So we need a precise measurement for these 2 points, just the back side and the foresight. We make this process for every point of the traverse. So we use this application to make many measurements automatically without interference of the human. Third usage of this application is making network adjustment. It looks like a traverse, but more precisely. We stand on every point of the network and measure all the points we can see from this station or from this point, and we repeat this process for every point on the network. So we usually use this application for if we need a precise or repeated measurement of the same points. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. How to use this program? First, we need to create a new job. We will call it sets. And if we need to create a coordinate, to choose a coordinate system or make any other things here, then we store the project. The second step, we need to make a setup. If you need to create, before creating the measurement, you need to create a setup. We here will just make any setup, some setup like set orientation. Just there is no points here. I will create just a point. In real work, you will make a real setup. Okay.
Yeah.
Insert the instrument height. Okay, and just insert the direction, and I just made just a setup. Okay, third step, you will go to the program, our application here, measure 6. First, he tells me what to name my point group. Okay, so I will call it group 1. Group 1 is the measure set of the point 1. I am standing on point 1 and I will make a point group 1. When I go to point 2 and stand on point 2, I will make setup of on point 2. Then I will create a new point group and I will call it group 2. Okay?
Okay.
Here I need to measure or define the point. I will make measurements for it. I am now standing on point 1 and I want to measure point 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Okay, so I need to define these 4 points to the total station. I can measure them directly, measure the points directly, and I can add them from a job. I can tell him I need point 1 is here in the job, well, yeah, this job. Okay, and I will go to this job and select the points I need the device to measure it. Okay, the third option here, to choose all the points of a defined job I made it before. Okay, I think the most popular choice, it will be measure points. I will measure the points for myself from the point group 1. Okay, I will tell him I need to measure the point 2. Okay, I will go here and insert the direction of the point 2. Okay, I will tell him point 2 and the measure target height. I can input the target height if I am working on traverse or network, but for monitoring, target height will be 0 because the target will be mounted on the building itself. So the target can't be removed or can't change its height. It will be almost 0. Then choose the target. The target is like round breadth, like a constant. It will be 0. I will measure it once. Okay. For aiming at target, this application is used usually with motorized devices with auto aiming. If you would use, usually we use this program, this application with automatic total station. So it may be used with TS16 with auto aiming, not motorized, not normal motorized. TS16A or TS16B or TS16I or TS60 or TS or MS60 or TM60. We use it with automatic total station. Okay, why we use it with automatic target total station? Because if you use a motorized total station, the motorized total station, when he turn to the specific point you want to measure, he won't center to the target itself. It will measure the same angle. He won't measure the target. He will measure the same angle every time. He will turn to the same angle and won't center to the target. So I need and a total station who can center to the target. So every time he will give me a real measurement for the center of the target. You know the difference between auto aiming.
Quick question. I understand automatically if it is a prism, some kind of prism, whether mini prism or round prism, it will centralize itself. If it is a retro target, will it centralized or is no point? It just goes by the angle.
Please, you need to. You said that the auto aiming total station centers the target of mini prism and normal prism and 360 prisms, but for sheet prism and reflectorless it doesn't center.
So if I am doing retro target, retro target.
No. There is no centering for reflectorless and prism, sheet prism. Do you know sheet prism? There is no ability for this total station to recenter on these targets. Just the prism, prism, mini prism,
Okay,
and 360 prism.
If I am measuring not a prism, do I choose automatic or do I choose anything, or does it make any difference?
If you are measuring to sheet prism or reflectorless, the auto aiming total station doesn't make any sense. We don't use auto aiming total station. We will aim to these targets manually. We will aim to it manually, not using the motorized total station.
Okay. The reason I say that is because sometimes I'm measuring. I know I should be probably using a prism, but if I am measuring a reflectorless, what would be the option? I should be manually centralize it myself. That would be the option.
You will do it yourself, manually with yourself. You will do it. You will center to these targets by yourself. This application we can use it.
And in this case, do I go for the option manual or what do I do?
You don't use the TS60. You use TS10 or manual total station, because
I am using TS16. My instrument is TS16.
TMS16 or TS16? TS16. Okay, you will use it manually. In this case, you will use it manually. Manually, because you won't measure, use the total station to center the target. You will make the centering with yourself. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will use it manually, and automatically measure points I will remove it, because I don't want the device to measure it without centering. I just need to make the measurement with myself. But if your device was TS16A, so you can use this automatically and you can use target. You will aim to target automatically. Okay?
Yeah, the target have to be a prism, some form of prism.
Must be prism or mini prism or 360 prism. Okay. So I will measure the first, or define the first point for measuring, and measure it.
Point stored.
Okay. After measuring the point 3, I will go to point 4. And measure point 3.
Point stored.
and measure 0.5.
Point stored.
Okay, after measuring these points, okay, I finished my sets of points. Okay, I will press done. I finished. Okay, so I finished defining the group of points that I will or that I want to measure them. Okay. Okay, if I will stop at these 3 points, okay, I will go to measure sets. If I need to add more points, so just I forget to measure a point, or I found a new point I want to measure it with them, so I will go back and press add more point and measure more points and adding them to the group. Okay, so I finished, so I go to measure sets. Okay, after I go before I go to measure sets, I want to define how many times I will measure this point group. Here I will define, I want to measure them for 5 times. Okay, so I will measure the 3 points 5 times. So every point will be measured how many times?
5 times.
Every point will be measured 5 times.
So
Every point will be measured 5 times. But I need to measure the points in phase 1 and phase 2. So every point will be measured 5 times in phase 1 and phase 2, and totally will be measured 10 times. Okay, here the measurement method. If you want to measure every point just 1 time in phase 1, we will use A, B, C, D. If you want to measure them phase 1 and phase 2, you will use any one of these. A1, A phase 2, B phase 2, B phase 1. So I will measure the first point in phase 1 and phase 2, and then go to the second point in phase 2 and phase 1, and like this. This is the most famous measurement method. There are more, but this is the famous because it is the quickest measurement type. Okay, so we will use this method. Okay, after I press measure, it will be measured automatically. It will measure point 2 in phase 1 like this, and then the device will turning to phase 2 and measure the point 2. Then go to the point 3 in phase 2, then turning to phase 1 and measure the point 3 in phase 1, and go to point 4 and 5, and like this. Okay, okay, I will start. So the total station will make measurements.
Point stored.
I think we made it manually. So technical search filter.
Point stored. 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 Point stored.
you look here, you have finished set 1 and started the set 2. The total station must measure all the points automatically. I don't need to press measure every time, but I think it may be because of this is a simulator.
Point stored.
For manual total station and TS16M, I think you will need to measure them manually like this. You will press measure every time. In manual total station, you will have to measure and center the point manually and turn the telescope from phase 1 to phase 2 manually also. For TS16, you need to just centering and press measure, but the total station will turn and go to the points automatically by motorized. You know what I want to say?
Yeah, but if it is auto aiming,
it will do
itself as well.
It will do all the things. You just measure the points and define the sets, and the total station will go for the point and centering it and measure it automatically. We use this application usually with TS16A, so it do the whole job automatically without interference of me.
It will be the same for MS60 as well?
MS60, MR and TS60, all this use auto aiming, and the TS13, I think it make the same process. I think many measurements here will be out of tolerance because I didn't change the angle every time because of this simulator.
Okay.
Point stored. Point stored. Point stored. Point stored.
Okay. So this the summary of measurement. This point 2, the point 2 has been measured 5 times. 5 of them was in tolerance. 5 of them were incomplete sets. This application will remove any point from uncompleted set. The complete set it is the set which the total station succeeded to measure all the points. We usually respect
on the last set, for example, if you measure target 2, 3 and you didn't measure 5 in phase 1, for example, so that set will be cancelled and will be taken out.
The set will be cancelled and will be useless if it has just one point measure. If it has 1 point measured, it is useless. We don't use it. We don't need it. It will be removed.
Okay.
But if it has 2 points, so the third point will be removed. We won't use it in calculations.
So on the intolerance, how many do you need all of them to be intolerance, or
Okay.
is acceptable?
Okay, I will go to this tolerance. The tolerance we can edit it by settings in the first stage of the application. Okay, I will go to explain.
That's fine.
Okay, after the measurement is completed, we can do measure more sets if you need to measure more sets. If you found many sets has been damaged. Okay, if you want to just view the result, you will go here and view the result. He will tell you how the angle, the difference of the horizontal angle and the vertical angle, and the standard deviation of the distance. Because we here are simulators, so you will find that 0, but in real it may distance here may be 2 millimeters, 1 millimeter, 3 millimeters, and their angles it may be differ from 1 second to 7 seconds. Okay,
This would be in reference, in comparison to our first set, the way we grouped it. That would be
this is this is standard deviation of the errors. It will use the errors of all measurement and make a standard deviation for it.
Okay, the average.
Okay.
Okay.
If you need to see the sets, every set individually, so you will press F3 here, sets, and you can see the residuals of every set. The set 1, the set 2, set 3, set 4. If you want to remove any sets of this, just like this set, I found the residuals are too high, so I can don't use them. If all are okay, I will use all. Okay, if you want to go to the points here, you can go to the points of this set 3. This point is not okay, so I want to remove this point from this set. But if you remove 2 points, the set has no meaning. After I go to I found the result are okay, press OK. If I found some errors, I go to sets and I go to points to remove the points or the sets has had a problem, which have a big problem. After I finish view and manage the result, I can compute point from result. These points which I will compute it will be stored to my device, and I can export them as final points. Okay, if I am working on monitoring, or these points will be valuable to me. But if I want to make traverse or network adjustment, so I just need the raw data of this application and use it on Infinity or LEGO to make an adjustment, or to make the traverse calculation and export a report for this calculation from the Infinity, not from this. So this computation, the compute points here, will be useless for me. I don't need it, because I want the report, or I want to make another calculation to these points. Okay, but if I'm working on monitoring, or I just need to measure many points in high accuracy, I can compute the points from this application here. Just okay, and name the points with the same name, but adding a prefix or a suffix for these points. Just A before the points, so the points will be called A3, A2, A3, A4. Then store. After I finished, I can go press OK. Exit the application. The points here, if I go to this program, I will find A2 and A3 and A5. These 3 points are the result of measure 6. But point 2 and point 3 and point 5, they are the point which I measured in the first step of making measure 6. When I wanted to define the points which I want to measure. Okay, these points were in circular shape. They are measured, but these points are control points because they measured many times and with high accuracy. Okay.
Okay, so the one with A in front of prefix, are these the ones that we use for traversing, for more processing at the later stage?
No, the raw data will be used in making a calculation for traverse. When I want to take,
Okay.
I will take this transfer job. I will press transfer job because I need the raw data. The raw data contains all the measurements of the application,
Okay.
not just the final result.
Okay.
The final result are A2.
The one we saw, this A2, A3, A5, they just for monitoring or average of the multiple measurements.
They are the result,
Okay.
the result of the application, but the final result.
Yeah. Okay.
After you measured the point 2 about 10 times, we found the average was A2, and the measurement of 10 times of the point 3 makes the average of A3, and like this. Okay, so we want to go back to the application and measure sets, and we need to go to the settings. Okay, here the settings of the application page to show when you measure the point, we show the page of measure application. When we are measuring and just something not okay happens, the program or the application stop and make me a message for this something. So I told the program when to stop. He stop if any message appear. If any message appear, the application will stop for to send you the message. He will stop for any message. All the message he will stop for it. Okay. Time out if I want if the total station want to measure a point, but he try to measure it and he won't stop until he measure it. He want to tell you I can't measure it. Sometimes we make a measurement on train or on a busy route. If you want to measure a target and a bus or a car go in between you and the target, between the total station and the target, so the total station want to see the target for short time.
Yeah.
If the car stopped between you and the target, so you won't be able to measure this target. So the total station will try to measure it. If you want to if you want to for the total station not to always try for to measure the target, so you can tell him he just try for 10 seconds, only take 10 seconds. If he didn't find the prism, so he go for the next target. The measure points. If you measured, if you wanted to measure 5 points and you measured the 4 and the 5, you can't measure it. After you finish the set, do you prefer to go back for the incomplete point or the point which haven't be measured? Here the option is don't go back for the non-measured point. So if you measured point 1, 2 and 4 and 5 and you didn't measure 3 for any reason, don't go back to remeasure it. Okay?
Okay, so if you skip one target for whatever reason, you asking it to not to come back to it?
No, after the set is finished, don't go to the incompleted or unmeasured point. Don't go back for them. You can remeasure them for the next set. For the next set, you will start to measure the 5 points. Okay, but for the current set, if you can't measure the point 3 for any reason, so you won't go back for it again for this set. That's the next set. Okay, you can start from measuring all the points. Okay.
Okay.
The next option, sort points by horizontal angle. By default, the program sort the points or start the points with the arrangement of measurements. If you measured point 1, then point 2, then point 3, then point 4, then point 5, you define the point with this arrange. So the program will measure point 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Even if every point were in a different direction, he won't arrange them. He will arrange them by the arrangement you did. If you click here, you check this setting, the program or the total station will arrange the points due to horizontal angle. He will start with the least horizontal angle and go and measure these points with the horizontal angle. If you check this setting, it will be short or take a less time to measure the set, because the total station won't consume time to rotate on all direction. Do you understand it?
No, I understand. If you check this, the total station will follow the angle rather than the way you measure the first set.
Exactly. Okay.
I understand it.
Okay. The next setting it's for monitoring. If you check this, you will be asked when you will start measurement and how many times you want to restart measurement. I use this for monitoring. If I am doing some monitoring work, I need to set the total station and delete it for days, and the total station will start automatically every 3 hours or 6 hours or anyway, and start measure the points and stop after it finish the points. So I use this for monitoring. Okay.
Yeah.
This page for tolerance. This is the acceptable tolerance by the total station, not by you. If you want to use tolerance, we will check this. If you don't want the device to check the tolerance, so I will uncheck this. What is this tolerance used for? If the total station are measuring the targets, okay, and if it found the target has an error, this measurement has an error, or these measurements are differ from the original measurement by 16 seconds, the total station will remove this measurement, and it will give you a message: this point or this measurement has exceeded the horizontal tolerance by maybe 20 seconds. It will give you a message of the tolerance, and it will tell you if you want to accept this tolerance or no. If you want to accept this, okay. If you don't want to accept this tolerance, press remeasure the point. You may have a tolerance less than this tolerance. You may need a tolerance just 10 seconds or 8 seconds. You may need a tolerance less than this, or maybe you don't need a tolerance, or you have tolerance more than this. But usually we use tolerance of less than 10 seconds for precise measurements. But anyway, we let it this tolerance 16, and when we go to infinity or after finishing the measurement, we can remove the tolerance that exceeds 10 seconds. Okay, but this is a tolerance which will be will tell you by message if you exceeded this tolerance. Okay. Okay. This defaults of measurement. Do you remember this page when we started to measure the point?
Yes. Yeah.
This is the default page. It will be the like this every time you measure a point. So if you are used to work with many prisms, not like round prism, you can use it here like a mini prism. So every time you will measure will be like a mini prism. I found this page not so important, because I usually will edit it or modify it when I measure. Then there is a report sheet. Okay, if you want to make a report for what's happening in this application, I think I did you this format file before.
Yeah, for the upload.
I told you there's two ways to have a report sheet. This is one of them, and this is the most the hard way. I can, if I didn't do a report sheet for the application or what I have done, so I can go here and export data ASCII with format file and use this format file and export this data. This sets.txt will be my log file or my report. Okay, there is two ways and I prefer this way. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you need anything from this application?
Yeah. So just to give you quick questions. So what we did is we set up the instrument on 2 and we measure 3, 5 and 6, 3 points. And then we did 3 sets, measuring it twice in each face, 5 times. So for the traversing or create a network, I need to go to point 3 and then measure 2, 5 and 6, and then vice versa, go around on each point occupy and then do the same thing. Is that correct?
For traversing, I just make backside and go for measure the backside and the foresight using sets of angle, okay, or measure 6. Okay, I will measure the backside and the foresight, just the back and the fore. Okay, for traverse, but for network adjustment, I will measure all the points, included the backside. If the point of the backside will be used in the network adjustment. If the backside won't be used for the network, so I don't need to measure it. But usually I measure the backside again with the measure 6.
Yeah, so do I need to move to another point and measure them in a different
and then after
sufficient?
No, I do this work on all the points of the network. If I have a network of point 1, 2.
So we did it on point 2. We were on point 2 measuring 3, 5 and 6. So the next step would be to go to 3 and measure 2, 5 and 6 the same way.
Exactly.
Okay.
And in the next step we go we will go and on point 4 and measure 2 and 3 and 5 and 6. And the next step I will go to 5 and measure the all points.
Okay. The next question is, what is the format that we export to go to infinity for computation?
We will export the raw data by traverse transfer job to the USB and go to the USB and to the folder DBX. We will find a folder with the name of sets and the date and time of creation the job. We will take the whole folder and open it using the infinity. We will find all the measurements on it. So we will make the calculation on the infinity after that.
Okay, so we do transfer job, and this data will be on the DBX, and then we find it on the DBX, and then go to infinity to import it or processing.
Exactly.
Okay. Last question. If I get the infinity would I be able to do this computation process as well as the what we talked earlier about the 3D scanning? I think our session just finished or something like that. Did you get any message?
Oh, I didn't understand your questions.
Let me just say, did you, just to quickly, did you screen stop recording on the any disk? I got a message saying our session has finished. I think we were finished anyway. We can talk with the rest on the phone. You can keep recording anyway.
Okay, I will stop the recording.